everybody. I am here today with Jill Remensynder. And while people are starting to, I'm not sure. People are starting to, filter in. Well, welcome. Let me just play my new promo that Kenny Thibodeau had worked up for me, and I love it. So just please indulge this for a little while, and we'll be right back to talk to Jill.
In the fog of the unknown city, footsteps vanish so swiftly. Empty streets now whisper tales of long-lost faces gone so pale. Flickering lights on corners weep, silent voices haunt the deep. Every door seems like a play, murmuring secrets to the key. Where have you gone? Where did you stray? Into the night or the light of day? Missing shadows cast away, gone without a word.
Okay, hey everybody, we're back. Thank you so much, Jill, for joining. For joining me. I just have been wanting to talk to you for so long. I just want to say hi to Sunny. Thank you so much for being here, Sunny. And if there's anybody from Facebook that I can't see, if you can just send me a message on Facebook, because those messages and some of the other platforms don't always come over, but we're glad to have everybody here. So thanks again for being here. Hi, John. John just joined us. So nice to be here with you, John and Sunny. Thank you. And Jill. So Jill, as everybody probably knows, is a filmmaker, and she was involved in the production and the writing of, this is literally, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, Jill, this is the best, Flash of Beauty was the absolute best Bigfoot documentary I've ever seen. And I've seen, probably all of them. I was brought to tears several times during it. It was so profound. What, can you just explain what was your thought process, and I guess your creative process to kind of go that route, because it was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. So in order to answer your question, I do have to back up a little, because where we started and where we ended up are two completely different stories. So originally, Brett Eichenberger and I, we are creative partners, I guess you could say. We are married, and we do own a production company. So filmmaking, commercials, corporate work, that's all part of our day-to-day life. And when things slowed down, so to speak, back in March of 2020, we had a lot of time on our hands. We were actually in the middle of a corporate campaign, an ad campaign. That was it. And we were just kind of left hanging. And we thought, well, we finally have time to do this project we've always talked about. And originally it was going to be, it's called the Paranormal Paradox, because the question we were trying to answer was, how can people be seeing all these things, whether it's ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, and what have you, because we all know there's a lot more things out there than just those standard three.
Right.
How are people seeing things that don't exist? And so we were kind of exploring that whole paradox. And what we really noticed, well, first and foremost, as we were interviewing people about their Bigfoot encounters, the universe has a funny way of putting you on the right path. And we kept getting introduced to more and more Bigfoot witnesses. Oh, wow. And that kind of put the wheels in motion. And, by the time we realized, I guess, we're not really doing the ghost stuff or the UFO stuff. We were already down the rabbit hole.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So what we noticed was a lot of people in the other documentaries, no one was talking about the emotional component and the psychological impact these experiences, whether good or bad, were having on the witnesses. So we really wanted to lean into that, because although in A Flash of Beauty, we really focus on the beauty aspect of it, the sense of awe, the life-changing, the opening of the mind. We don't want to disregard or discredit the people who've gone through traumatic encounters. We know they exist. We know they're out there. We're just, right out of the gate, we just wanted to reframe the conversation and paint what people are encountering as something it truly is. And I'm not trying to go against science or anything. It's magical.
Yes.
It's something that words can't fully describe, that will be with them for the rest of their lives, as some of our witnesses have said so in the documentary.
Right. Yes. How did you, I can't even put, I don't even know if because I was trying to think about how to put this into words. It is just so beautiful. Was that your, was that kind of your idea to go that route? It just seems like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be like sexist, but it seems like more of like a feminine, kind of like a touch to go on to, you know what I mean? Like it just was so.
I do understand. But however, if you look at Brett's past body of work, so Brett as a director, and then along with Michael Ferry, our cinematographer, the two of them just create beautiful images.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so the style in which we shot A Flash of Beauty falls in line with the types of projects we're shooting for our clients, whether it's a dental commercial or a nonprofit fundraiser for what have you.
Okay. Yeah, I get great.
And just to add on that, it is kind of funny though, because for me personally, I'm more of a very, I find the comedy and the humor and everything. So sometimes I have to pull it back. And so this has been, the Flash of Beauty series has really been more of a meditative class for me on how to focus and just breathe and not go for the quick cuts and for the humor and stuff.
I see. Yeah. I want to commend you also. Yes. Just on the cinematography, it's like everybody that I know a lot of these people personally that are in your documentaries, and they just look amazingly like beautiful. It's like you take the inner beauty and just, put it out there. So just extremely, extremely well written. People are saying in the comments, that one scene can't be unseen, and they loved it too. So then let me ask you, what got you into the genre to begin with? You said you were going to start out, like you said, in the paranormal aspect, and it kind of, went the route to focus on Bigfoot. Is this something, the paranormal, was that something that you had always been interested in, or how'd you fall into that?
How did we fall into that? A long story I'll try to truncate a little bit. So, I've always been interested since I was a little kid in all things paranormal. And Brett and I, both as native Oregonians living in the Pacific Northwest, Bigfoot is just, you don't second guess it. I mean, there's a lot for anyone watching who hasn't been out to Oregon or Washington or like Northern California. We have there's a lot of places to hide in the woods.
Yes.
I remember being a kid going to Harrison Hot Springs, Harrison Hot Lake in Harrison, BC. And my parent, like first grade maybe, and my parents explaining, oh, this is where Sasquatch lives. And I'm like, what? And this is the age of stranger danger and stuff. I'm like,
oh yeah,
there's a giant hairy man who's going to be hanging out in the woods. This just sounds like a terrible decision from adults to take a child to this place. But, so I was aware of Bigfoot as a child, and Brett had these interests too. For me personally, in the paranormal, since it's Halloween, we'll just go there. Why not? It's the appropriate day. I was one of those kids who, as a child, I could see spirit. and would interact and whatnot. And that never really went away. It just scared me more. So I kind of pushed it away.
Mhm.
But
Oh, yeah.
honestly, it's almost like it's funny how this has been a journey in so many ways. Um, as we got into the documentary, I started meeting more kind of like-minded people who have these abilities and whatnot. It kind of woke that back up. So yeah, since childhood, I've had an interest in all of this. And actually, when Brett and I went on our first date many, many years ago, I remember he asked me, he's like, "So, do you listen to Coast AM with Art Bell?" And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I didn't know. And so he explained to me, I was like, "This sounds like the most magical radio station ever."
Yeah.
And then once he realized I was open to this, and then we could start comparing notes, I think we knew our
Cool.
fate and destiny.
Mhm. Awesome. Awesome. That's really cool. I love it. How did you transition from Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, to over to the Paranormal Bigfoot? I mean, obviously, for those of us who have encountered, I mean, I really thought it was either a hairy man living in the woods, like my father had said that he saw in Canada, up in Ontario, Canada, or maybe it was just like a big ape, like undiscovered, kind of a gigantopithecus, something like that. But then when you see and experience it yourself, it's like, wait, no, it's so much more than that.
Yeah,
And is that why you kind of just decided to go that route, which was perfect,
we
really?
had to.
Yeah,
And to be quite
yes.
honest,
Oh,
so originally it was just going to be one documentary, and there was going to be kind of like a little footnote at the end that people were also having these experiences because as we started, how do I even phrase this? So we'd be in interviews and some of the people would pause and ask us, "Do you want me to tell you the other stuff?"
oh.
I'm like, "Well, what other stuff?"
Mhm.
And if we were lucky if they did it before we started breaking down the cameras and lights, because sometimes this would come up when we were starting to wrap up. But,
Mhm.
you know, people would share with us, they're like, before I saw the Bigfoot, I was seeing lights in the forest. I saw a UFO. I was getting messages. Just all these things you hear people talking about.
Mhm.
And that's when we really learned that there's two camps, so to speak.
Yeah.
There's the flesh and blood, and there's the people who are willing, they're having these experiences. Not all are willing to discuss them.
Mhm.
And to give it the attention it deserved, it needed its own documentary.
Mhm.
And not just because there was so much to cover, but just out of respect to the experiences people were having. So we knew pretty early on that we were going to have to split it in two,
Mhm.
and that's what we did.
Perfect. So perfect. It really, I think, that was also the first documentary that I watched that almost made it acceptable, if you want to. And I know that's like a terrible thing, but like this is the people that are having these. You had said these are educated people. These are normal. It's normal people. No one has gotten rich or famous, right, from doing any from claiming to have these experiences. What we typically get is, you're crazy, lady. Like, what are you drinking? What are you smoking? What drugs are, whatever. And so I love that you just have portrayed people in the beauty that's inside of them. You've been able to portray it on film. It's just, yeah, well done. Well done. Now what you would also, is the project with Ron Morehead. Can we talk about, are you able to talk about that yet?
Absolutely, I'd love to
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay, great.
It's been in the works for some time. Yeah. So Ron approached us shortly after A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed came out, and he approached us about telling his story, specifically focusing on voices in the wilderness and
Mhm.
basically the Sierra Sounds and how
Yes.
that all came to be. So we started filming, gosh, that would have been September of 2022. And we've had some challenges along the way. You know, making a film is never cut and dry, but some beautiful things have happened in the process of not rushing it and letting the project breathe. One of the gifts that came our way is we got Ron's daughter, Rhonda, on camera, sharing her experiences that kind of, you know, corroborate what Ron's talking about. And we also, the very first time ever, the surviving members of the original hunting party sat down for interviews. And that's a treat because there was information. There were parts of the interviews that were coming out where I had to put down all my questions, because typically, you know, Brett's directing, Mike's on camera, we have a couple cameras going, and I'm doing the interview, and I put my papers down. I looked at Ron, and I was like, Ron, why didn't you ever mention this? And he's like, well, this is new information for me too. So that was really cool hearing just the history firsthand from the people who were there even before Ron, you know, and how he got folded into the mix. And then most exciting, so there are some cool things coming up that we're filming very soon, but at the end of August, we went up to the Sierra camp, 8 miles on horseback.
Oh, wow.
With David Johnson, son of Warren Johnson, one of the original, you know, founders, he and Lewis Johnson. And we camped. We did it.
Wow.
We got some amazing footage that we're really excited to share. Yeah.
Did you get any audio at all? Any kind of?
There's some interesting
maybe you can't
stuff.
say. Maybe you can't. You know. Yeah,
that's a tough one. There's definitely it's an active area. It's not easy to get to, and I don't encourage people to go there either, because there isn't. If you had some sort of medical emergency or anything like that, you're cut off. It's a long way down the mountain.
Oh my gosh, 8 miles on horseback. Wow.
On horseback. Ask me the last time I was on a horse.
What was the last time you were on a horse?
I think in kindergarten, like on a little trail that went in a circle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or like in middle school, one of my neighbors had a horse and I got to ride on it. But yeah.
And that's wow, like incredible train. See, I feel like that people that aren't familiar with that kind of, you know, that kind of environment, because I think there's a lot of people that you know, and I mean, it's hard to describe until you're out living in it, or, you know, the sheer like vastness, the sheer desolation, and people can't, well, what do you mean that there's areas that humans probably haven't walked on for, you know, hundreds of years, if ever, and it's just that is how it is, or, you know, so many just complete, you know, vertical drops.
Yeah, a lot of those.
Gosh.
You know, and even on the cover of Ron's book, Voices in the Wilderness, it has 2 cowboys on horses that are precariously, you know, on a steep ledge. There were a few times during the horse ride where I was like, because what was it, on our way in, I was behind Tobe Johnson. So it was David Johnson, Brett Eichenberger, Mike Ferry, Tobe Johnson, and me, and then the mule, the pack mules and everything. And I would be like, oh, this is from the book cover. This is where they're going down. And so this is so fascinating. And I will tell you this much. So when we were setting up camp, so we had obviously the shelter is no longer there, that the original shelter, but we had our tents. And in the Sierra Sounds audio, when they reference, there's 2 over there across the creek, you know, by the big rock.
Yes.
So Brett and I got the great idea. We'd set up our tent by the creek.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be, if in the middle of the night, hearing footsteps and me telling myself, oh, it's probably just one of the guys checking on us.
Yeah,
Who's
why
doing
would
that? No one's doing that.
Mhm,
Or
mhm.
getting like on the little walkie-talkie, Tobe radioing to us saying, I can hear someone walking around or splashing in the creek. Like,
Oh my
great.
gosh, here we go.
And I have to preface, we are not, although we're in the outdoors a lot, we
Mhm.
are terrible campers.
Yeah,
So
I get
it
that.
was just it was like we just hit the ground running. Like this was not the place to like learn how to camp. Uh,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
The
So it was a
poor
lot of
spot.
trial and error, and I learned all sorts of basic things that most people know right out of the gate.
How long were you out there?
Let's see here. We rode in Saturday morning, Friday or Saturday morning, and we rode out on a Tuesday. So we were up there for a few
Ugh, that
solid.
sounds it sounds cool, but that sounds terrible because I'm not a camper either.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in an RV with I have my own shower and my own like potty and stuff, you know.
I was feral when we came out of there. I was just like this wild woman.
Yeah.
So,
That's so funny. Um Jack, right, Jack, right? He was in the second one. Is that
sure,
right?
Jack.
So, he before that came out and I didn't realize that he hadn't said that he was going to be in it, and he had sent me out of the blue because of my Facebook page, said, "Hey, I have some interesting audio if you want to, you know, if I'd love to have you hear it." Oh my gosh, Jill, I heard those exact same sounds camping in Gifford Pinchot National Forest. We were there one night. Fortunately for me, and it rained like crazy, but it did stop enough that I mean, overnight. Oh my gosh, I was awakened by exactly what he has on audio. Crazy, crazy at the time, like terrifying to me. But I knew, okay, this is real because no human could sustain, you know, could hold their voice that long. It
Mhm.
wasn't any animal, you know what I mean? Just wow, wow. So, what was it like interviewing him? Because he actually said that he had seen a deer, right? That kind of
Yes, yes. So it was no easy feat getting Jack
yeah, I
in
can
the
imagine.
documentary. So what happened was I'm trying to think of the timeline. Well, obviously we were still filming Paranormal Bigfoot, and on Facebook in some group there was a post of I caught something on, we were driving down this road, and you can see almost this, not pixelate, but almost like a clear form, like
Mhm.
a body. And we're looking at that, and Brett said, "We got to find him. We have got to find him." So he started backtracking, trying to message, going through all the channels when you can't get a hold of someone, like finding mutual friends,
Yes.
no mutual friends, like, so having to just kind of cold call people on Facebook
Yeah.
Messenger. And finally he got a response, and yeah, we got together, we met, and he has he is a great storyteller, or just his presentation. I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking salt of the earth, like honest, good people
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
he just laid it all out. And what's so interesting, there's two parts of the story that are so interesting. So when he saw that thing take form, it was first like a star, like an orb,
Oh
the
my God.
huge bright orb on the road. And then it started to morph, and it took this shape of this thing, and he didn't know what to do. He was with his friend. So he put his foot to the gas and drove through it.
Oh wow.
And he said it felt like going over a speed bump.
Whoa.
I'm like, okay. I don't know if that was the best course of action, but so be it. Sometimes
Yeah.
we react in situations. So he was
Mhm.
like, I got out of there. But the deer situation, the whole story about that, it all started with they had these trees by their house that they cut them down because they were afraid they were going to fall in the house during a windstorm.
Yeah.
And it triggered, it triggered they were having activity, but cutting down the trees did not help the situation. And the family, like Jack said, this cream colored deer started coming around. It is just a little bit off, and you could get really close and it was observing. And then one day he saw, on a separate occasion, he was looking out and he saw what he thought was a bear and was going to shoo it away from the house. And then it stood up and it wasn't a bear. How many times have we heard that? I
Yes.
thought it was a bear, then it stood up and it looked like a human. I mean,
yes.
People know what a bear looks like and what
Right.
like a 9 to 10 foot apex
Right.
being
Yeah.
humanoid looks like. And then it shape shifted into that cream colored deer.
Wow.
And
That is
then,
cool.
so spoiler alert, Jack's deer was a Bigfoot.
And you know that, no, but I love that because there's been around my property too, deer will come around and they just act a little different. And I'm like, now wait, are you actual deer or are you a Sasquatch? Because they like he explained, they kind of stand there and look at you for so long, and I'm able to like approach them, but not, and then just kind of like walk away. Not most deer, they stand there frozen, like deer in the headlights, like they say, and you kind of walk toward them and then they just take off. But there's been two, and I'm like, I don't know. So just very, very thought provoking. We also have Ashley. Oh my gosh. What was it like? Wow, that was just amazing. She's here with us. Tell us about that interview. Yeah, Ashley.
I'm trying to remember. So Ashley's interview was amazing because where we were filming was having paranormal activity. There was stuff going on. Like I was like having visual. I'm like, there's something over there. Doors, like a door open and shut on its own that should not have. And it was just, there was a vibe. My favorite part of Ashley's interview, and it's more of the B-roll, when we were filming her walking, I think she had a walking stick and going down the trail, talking about watching that orb come towards her, was all the stories she told off camera or that weren't being used in the documentary. She had so many amazing, whether they were short, long, or parts of other stories, just all these other great encounters that I was just like, you are your own walking documentary.
Yes, she is.
You could really see that about everyone we feature.
Yes. Yeah.
In both movies.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Barb Shoop is another one that I was so glad to see her. I followed her for over probably about 10 years. And she said, shortly after she started, and I didn't realize, but I've come to know Barb, and I'm so thankful for that. What was it like? Interviewing her, because that was just
great. I mean, all of the interviews have been a gift. Everyone that we've had the pleasure and the opportunity to sit down with, it's been an absolute gift. And I think but you know what? I think that goes with anyone who's really willing to sit down and open up and be vulnerable and share their encounter. I mean, what more could you ask for? And especially, I mean, Barb said it so well. And it's one of my favorite lines. She's like, you grow up and you learn the things you were told that aren't real are real.
Are real, yeah.
Something to that effect. And I was just like, we're all, a lot of us are having wake-up calls.
Another person that just joined us, Arla. Oh my gosh. Wow. She's such an amazing, it was such an incredible story. And she's been having these encounters since she was little. It's like matter of fact. And the part with Rick Taylor.
Yes.
And then with the Sasquatch saying, "What are you doing with the gun?" by Arlo, like, get away from Arlo or whatever. Like, oh my gosh, just fantastic.
And she was so matter of fact about it. She's like, well, do what they say. Kind of like common courtesy says, you're in their house,
Right.
And, but and how many times have we heard that in other interviews? The mind speak,
Mm-hmm.
being addressed about having a weapon.
Yeah.
It's not, these aren't one-off occurrences. This
Mm-hmm.
is a lot more common. And what we're really hoping to do with A Flash of Beauty, not just the documentaries, but the full-length interviews that we're posting, is
Yeah.
normalizing the conversation. Let's make the paranormal normal. Let's take away the stigma so more people can start talking about what they're experiencing.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. Why do you think it is that why does it make people so angry when you try to like speak your truth? Why do you think that is? And people get so angry if they don't believe, like some of the skeptics. It's bizarre. And I think it's really a minority of the people, but it just really, it's so, they're so vocal, and it just really is, it hurts feelings.
Yeah, I think there could be a few possibilities there. I think in some aspects, having your whole paradigm and belief system challenged is
Mhm.
not a good feeling.
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
people are just so matter of fact, presenting like, I saw it disappear, it appeared out of nowhere, telepathy, I've seen orbs. If that does not fit into what you were raised to believe and understand, I mean, isn't that a knee-jerk reaction? You want to reject and push it away?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's interesting because a lot of people that we have interviewed and spoken to, they didn't believe in any of this until it happened to them. And for those that had a sighting, they didn't believe in any of the paranormal stuff until it
Mhm.
happened to them.
Mhm.
So, and I also think that there is a group of people who get very defensive and angry because they're in denial of what happened to them. Uh,
Oh, good point.
and sometimes like
Mhm.
we'll talk to people and there's that defensiveness, the ridicule, they'll just get very angry. But then
Mhm.
as you really sit and like listen to them and talk to them, you start getting into their encounter, what they experienced, that no one believed them or
Mhm.
people ridiculed them. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of layers. That's why we brought in Dr. Michael Adams in the first documentary to really
Mhm.
address, how
Yes.
the human psyche and how
Mhm.
we deal with that. But gosh, just this past weekend at the Yakima Bigfoot conference, everyone was lovely and fantastic, but I had one person visit the table, because we have all our t-shirts and sweatshirts
Mhm.
and stuff.
Mhm.
A very agitated man
Oh,
who and his wife was trying to run interference, and
oh no.
on the whole thing I was just like, I'm like, it's okay, I've
Mhm.
dealt with worse. Your husband is
Mhm.
acting out. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, just so angry that we were suggesting that there were other experiences unlike his. I think
Mm.
that's really hard for people, even on our YouTube channel. In the
Mhm.
comments, there are some people who get very upset when other experiences don't align with what they experience. And again, I think that all has to do with, again, having your paradigm, your belief
Mhm.
system challenged.
Mm.
And all we can do is, well, wait and
Mhm.
see. When it happens to you, let's have this conversation again.
Yes. I was I we have a small town little newspaper that just it has like a once a month, literally, like, is when they publish it. And they had asked, the guy asked me, or one of the writers asked me back in May if I wanted to become involved, to tell my story for their, like their Halloween edition. And I said, well, I don't want this to be something that's like a scary, like, ooh,
Yeah.
Bigfoot, so scary monster. And I said, and I really don't want to be like I don't want to be made fun of. I just want to tell you my story, and blah blah blah. And he did a great job of of putting it out there. But I was surprised, like you said, I was surprised that there were a few people that were like, so angry when they put it online. Like, there's no way this is happening. This woman's crazy, blah blah blah. And it's weird to me, like you said, in the Pacific Northwest, Bigfoot is a culture thing also.
Yeah.
It is a culture. I mean, it's literally a culture with a lot of the Native Americans, with a lot of the tribes, the First Nations. it's everywhere. And I feel like if you haven't seen one, you know somebody that has seen one, or firsthand, encounters, and yeah, so it's a little surprising to me that I guess the anger that I was met with. But I mean, what I said is, I said to some of the people, I said, most, you just can't even argue. There's no reason to argue. This is my truth. That's not, your truth. But I said, now, thank you for your constructive criticism. If you have an encounter, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Contact me. So, let's see what was the? Can you say, like, what interview or story, encounter that really, like, blew your mind?
All of them. The one that really left me. Okay, well, aside from Harold and Cody, because that's a lot, and that's the interview that we ended Paranormal Bigfoot with. Gosh, that's so hard to say, because I could say that I could focus in on an aspect of,
Yeah,
oh, you know what? I'll tell you what blew my mind, and it was, Dr. Simeon Hine.
Mm.
When we met with Simeon over at Washington State, over in Pullman, it was this sense of, when we sat down, and he's the author of Dark Matter Monsters. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. We featured him heavily in the sequel, by the way, because so many people came after us, like, if it's paranormal, prove it with science. Where's the science? And one, Simeon had so much to say. It's like, we can't just put a little in. We have to have context, put it all in.
Right.
But we're going to give you so much science that you're going to be sick of it. We're going to so much science
That's great.
for this to make sense.
Yeah.
In addition to Dr. Travis Taylor and Eric Bard, from Skinwalker Ranch, we're gonna show you that there's some stuff going on here. When we sat down with Simeon, the interview, I think, finish was maybe close to 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And that maybe 3.5 hours. And that's just of the footage. I mean, there's that whole setup, talking in between takes and all that stuff. So it was really like 4, maybe 5 hours. What was really interesting is that he explained it. He explained, like, this could be how living life form could be utilized, that's been here for hundreds of thousands of years through evolution, could be using dark matter in ways that our like little human race has not figured out yet, because we haven't had to really evolve over time like they've had the chance to. Don't quote me on that. I am not.
Yeah. I'm not a
timeline expert. But excuse me, the car ride home or back to the hotel after that, it was very quiet. It was kind of like, oh, we just saw behind the curtain the mighty Wizard of Oz. It's like, oh, that's how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
But, one thing I can say, so Simeon's interview blew my mind. Harold and Cody, what they witnessed, blew my mind. All of the interviews that we sat down with, there was some aspect that blew my mind. So just that's kind of the roundabout thing. But what was I just gonna say? It'll come back to me. Never mind.
Yeah. Have you had when you're doing the interviews, or maybe you're just on location, just kind of trying to get some footage, just trying to get a feel of it? Have you had any encounters that left you maybe scared, or like, whoa, or whatever? Did you have anything like that?
We've had some stuff happen. Definitely during Tara Harris's interview. She was a psychic medium that we interviewed on the logging road above the Moon area. So while the guys were getting B-roll and setting up I joined Tara and one of her friends, who's also a psychic medium, to go up into the woods where they do clearings, crossing spirits over, kind of doing spiritual cleanup on the mountain, so to
Okay.
speak.
Uh-huh.
And while we were there, Brett and Mike were like hearing all sorts of stuff around them as they were setting up the cameras. During Tara's interview, she was talking about communication and how the Sasquatch that she was interacting with in that area communicated with her. And on camera, we were seeing little blips of light that at
Wow.
first Brett thought it was a camera anomaly, like, oh,
Mhm.
it's like a little, like a dead pixel or something. But the second camera was picking up the same thing.
Oh my
And when you
God.
zoom in, it almost had a comma, like, as it was moving. So that's saying that it is moving faster than, the frame rate we were filming at. But we also picked up a howl in the background.
Oh, wow.
Um, while she was talking. So that was just one instance. I mean, in the first movie, when Brett was flying the drone around or near the dump in Bandon, uh,
Okay.
it was there was like a tree line behind us of somewhat young, like as replant. You know what I mean? It was like a new
Mhm.
like
Okay.
forest
Yeah.
forestation where they replant the trees.
Uh-huh.
But so Brett's doing his drone thing, Mike's standing next to him, and then I'm standing next to Mike. We're like the three of us are in a row. And something kept hitting my back.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, and I'd look down and there'd be like little pine cones and like little like
Oh,
pebbles.
wow.
And I kept looking at Mike. I was like, what are you doing? Like I thought he was trying to joke, like he was joking, trying
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I'm throwing stuff. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
And then I realized, wait a minute, he's standing over here. Something's getting thrown at me from the trees. And I just remember turning around and looking at the trees. And I'm just like, okay, you got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, I will say filming in that area that Daryl Adams was habituating in, and where he and Tobe Johnson were doing a lot of their research and having their experiences, there were times you would go down there and it'd be sunny, you'd hear the bugs, the birds chirping, but then it was like a vacuum, like
Mhm.
all the sound, no sound, dead silent, and you just
Mhm.
get that feeling
Yeah.
that something is off. You almost feel dizzy.
Mhm.
We'd experience that every so often. But as far as outright terror and things that are not flashes of beauty,
And
no,
maybe no, it's okay. Yeah,
no,
that's that's uh, Jackie Barnes is here, and she's saying that, yeah, she was at in that area just a couple of days ago. So that's really cool. Oh, dead silent. What did she say? Dead silent for most of the time I was there. Yeah,
yeah.
and that happens. That really happens, and it's
There's
you know
some
the
weird energy there. There is some challenging energy that is there at times. So
Do you have any sort of a feeling, or a theory, based on, because we had been talking about, you do have some gifts, you have psychic gifts, and do you have any, did you get a sense of any of that, of what could be the source of it?
well, I have some ideas, but the last time Brett and I really went there to go check things out, it just felt the best way I could describe it was, and this is how I described it to Tobe, was it felt sleepy.
Oh,
It felt like whatever was there was not there at the moment, but everything was kind of dormant and sleepy. And it made me feel like it felt like a fairy tale. Like when you're a little kid, when you're kids running through the woods, making up stories like, oh, and this is where the castle would be. And oh,
mhm.
and this is where
Oh,
the unicorns would run through. That's how I felt going through there. I was like,
wow.
it was very detached, but there's also that feeling that it could flip at a moment's notice.
Oh, okay. Like
I'll just
deeply
leave it at
dark.
that because I
Yep.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
I know Daryl's experiences, they were, they're pretty benign. Tobe's as well. I know Tara's run into some interesting stuff up there in her work that she does. But I also think it's a lot about how you project yourself and what's going on in your world and what you're bringing to the party.
Mm-hmm.
That attitude
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
will bring on
Right.
that attitude.
Right. And that's kind of like duh. When people are like, I went in there, and I'm gonna chase. I don't know, that aggressive, and if I see one, I'm gonna run after it. Well, why? I mean, what? What are you doing? Oh, and a little twist is asking, did you have any mind speak?
Brett's had it, but not there. That was in a relation to another location we visited. That reminds me, it wasn't exactly a Flash of Beauty related, but we were visiting a reservation in the Midwest, and we were bluff charged. And it sounded like an elephant on two legs. And there's like time slowed down because we're going down this like old logging road, and something was startled in the bushes. There's kind of those little trees and whatnot. I forget what they call it, like brick or whatever, the little trees, forest stuff. But as this thing was running up, there was this very specific moment as it was going to be like parallel with us. I thought it's going to step out onto the road on this full moonlit night.
Oh, wow.
And I am not going to be able to unsee this because of the trajectory of where the sound was and where it was. If it were to step out, was going to be maybe less than 10 feet.
Wow.
From me. But then it did a hard 90 degrees back into the woods. But that was that is the biggest time where I was like, oh, okay.
This is like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Wow. So Jackie's saying she went completely solo, but let Jeff Roan know in case, I didn't make it back. Oh gosh, I've had those. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if I don't come out for 2 hours, please come and find me.
Yeah, and definitely I think that goes without saying for anyone, no matter where you're going, give a heads up to your whereabouts, or I don't know if you have an SOS pager on your phone. Safety first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and and we all know, like, some of the scariest things in the woods are not animals or potential Bigfoot. Humans are probably one of the scariest monsters.
Yeah, and we've had some weird, I'm not gonna say interactions, but driving into the woods sometimes at night just to kind of take a night drive, up on a logging road and listen. It's kind of like, why are these people out here burning things, and why is this person just standing there in the dark staring with no we've seen some weird stuff, but definitely I'm more scared of people than
so you saw people just standing there oh gosh.
We came around a corner, Brett, Mike, and I, and I'll tell you where this was. So coming back from the beach to Portland off of 26, we kind of took one of those side detours and a lot of twists and turns. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were hearing all sorts of wood knocks and kind of some vocalizations. But as we were driving, we turned a corner and there's a car pulled over. The more I think about it, the more weird this is. There's a little SUV pulled over, and there was a young woman just standing there in the dark, just kind of staring off. And we're like, oh, that's creepy. And so we just kept going.
Yeah.
As one does.
Yeah.
You never knows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That would creep me out. It's some of those on the coast, but the Washington and, and down into Oregon, some of those roads like away from the coast, or the logging roads, wow, it's just a weird feeling, right? Like I don't even know. I think like you said, like almost a magical feeling sometimes, but then almost like oh gosh, this could flip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And where we are right now is about 30 minutes from the coastal range where Larry Turner had all of his experiences with
Oh,
the head grabbing through the tent and all that stuff.
oh my gosh. And where was that? I don't, what was it? It was Oregon. Oregon?
It was Oregon, yeah, in the Coast Range, like headed
Okay.
down 26 to the beach.
Now, our Awakening Lives is asking, what investigation was this? But I'm not sure if this is what we were talking about. I'm not sure which part was it? I'm so sorry. I didn't know what part you were talking about, because I think I saw this a little too late. Anyway, oh yeah. Well, 10 o'clock talk says, yes, like the hills have eyes, is watching you.
Sometimes.
Yeah, right. So what projects do you have coming up that you are able to share with us?
Oh boy. So we talked about Voices in the Wilderness, all about the Sierra Sounds. We are trying our hardest to get that wrapped up and delivered by summer of 2025. That's the goal. We also, just last month, we started filming A Flash of Beauty 3, which is all about through the Native American, the First Nations experience and cultural beliefs and their stories. So we're working on that. And then I'll just throw this out there because we've started working on it a little bit. It's like in development. Lately, a lot of people have been reaching out to us with their upright walking canine encounters.
Oh my gosh. I was literally going to ask you about that, Jill, if you had anything like that. Wow.
Well, so people have been reaching out. So I've been trying to put that in, just trying to develop that a little bit more. And so that wouldn't really happen till next year, but it's in the works, and outside of the documentaries, we're attending conferences and sitting down with people and collecting interviews for the YouTube channel. And we also, just non-Bigfoot related, we're doing a documentary on the jetty restoration at the mouth of the Columbia River.
Okay, cool.
So,
that's great.
There's that. And I have a comedy film that I wrote and directed that is in post-production, and we're hoping to have it out and submitted to festivals early 2025. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of great things. Jackie's saying she just realized this year that Dogman is here in the Pacific Northwest. Are you hearing quite a bit about that? That it is? I've heard a few
stories, Eastern Oregon, as well as, let me think about what area. I guess that's actually Washington. So some Eastern Oregon and some kind of Washington, Cowlitz County type.
Okay.
Vancouver, extended Vancouver area.
Okay.
So,
we own a farm in Pennsylvania. It's been in my husband's family for years. And when his mom and dad got divorced, it was like, we felt terrible for his dad and bought the farm so his dad could continue to live there. And now his dad has passed away. But we were just back in Pennsylvania, and I was doing some investigation. It's a very like active area for Bigfoot, but not necessarily like in where the farm is, and no one's ever had any reports. But so again, I'm just investigating. And initially when I posted the first video, I started getting people messaging me like, I see Dogman. And I'm like, oh no, what? So then when I was reviewing the video for the second part, because I'm like, it's too long, for one YouTube video, for the second part, and I remember zooming in, on this area that looked kind of like something was watching me. And sure enough, this thing had like ears, looks like a dog man. So I'm having some people from the Dog Man Project, check it out. But yeah, I'm like, oh no. Glad I was with my husband, and I'm glad that we didn't spend a lot of time there, because I know some people have had like no issues at all, with dog men, but then some people have some scary and aggressive,
Yeah.
things too.
It definitely sounds like, from some of the reports we've received, there are two thoughts to this. There are the downright scary, just
Mhm.
incredible, terrifying accounts. And then there are these other exchanges where it's more benign, more of just
Mhm.
curious from a distance.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So
and that's what but it's going to make me think, well, I don't know when we're even going to get back to the farm, but it was a beautiful day, and I'm glad, we got some interesting stuff. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, Arla's saying they are from coast to coast. That's what we're thinking too. So people are asking, where can they watch uh you know Flash of Beauty, all your projects? Where can they be seen?
the best answer I can give, I mean, it's on Amazon, it's on iTunes, whatnot. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch them for free. That's a Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed, a Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot. And then you can go and start watching the extended interviews, because we'll sit with people and we'll get like an hour or 2 hours of incredible, footage, but we can
Mhm.
only use a minute or two. And there was just so much good stuff that we did not want, to hold back. We kind of feel an obligation and a responsibility to share that information, because the way we see it is, we have to share this information, because
Mhm.
we might be able to help someone answer questions, that they're struggling with, or help people make sense of their encounter.
Mhm.
Just last week, we got an email from a guy in Florida who saw something similar to what Harold and Cody experienced.
Oh.
And he was just like, I know what you're talking about. He's like, I've told one person and they kind of blew me off and made
Oh.
fun of me. And so he was just so happy to know that he wasn't alone, And and there's something for everyone. That's the other thing. We don't discriminate. If you're very science based, or if you really want to get out there into some other ideas,
Mhm.
you know, we've interviewed just about everyone from all different stages and perspectives.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you know what? I really respect all of what you're saying, because it is, whether it's a good or a bad experience, it can be traumatic,
Mhm.
and my I guess philosophy on this, because some people will say to me, Barb, do you believe everything when when you interview somebody, do you believe everything that they're saying to you? And it's like, well, maybe not, but I mean, we have to have an open mind, because I literally would rather have somebody report a hoax as being real than deny somebody that their reality didn't happen, and it
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
that's just crushing, because it's just like somebody on my Facebook page had actually said, it's going like, let's say you're going to a survivors of abuse page, and people on that page are saying, you didn't, you deserved it, or you didn't get that, you didn't really that's not an abusive situation, or something like that. That's just, and it's
Mhm.
it was just heartbreaking to think so many people are going through these and having these feelings. And I just really, I just want to really encourage people, because it's just been through this fantastic community, and a lot of the people on this watching right now that have helped me out to answer questions, what was going on just with my situation. Does anybody in the chat have any questions? I don't see anything, just all positive. If anybody has any questions before we let Jill go, please, get them in now. So to get in contact with you, do you have an email, or like through Facebook, if somebody wants to, contact you, or is there a Facebook page that they should contact?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook, and that goes for Brett as well. Usually, through our A Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed Facebook page, usually I'm the one who is responding to the messages. It may take a few days, but I will respond. Otherwise, we do have an email. It's info@bigfootdoc.com.
Bigfoot Doc. Okay, and then I will put these in the in the permanent comments after this show. And tell me again your Facebook pages that people can, or not Facebook page, your YouTube channel.
Oh, the YouTube channel is at A Flash of Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Okay.
We have so many. It just happened last week in our live stream. So every Thursday at 7 Pacific, Tobe Johnson and I do a live stream just to, kind of catch up, do a recap of the week and what's been going on. And last week, and it's happened before too, someone will join the chat thinking, oh, A Flash of Beauty, I thought this was a makeup channel or like a fashion channel.
I'm sorry.
And Brett, who kind of runs the chat and moderates the live stream, he's like, oh, stick around. And last week by the end of it, this woman was like, I'm in. This is great.
So, like I can't wait for next week's. So and when are your shows? I know that I've watched some of them.
Thursday at 7. So
7. Okay. Pacific time, is that Pacific?
Yep.
Time zone. Okay.
7.
All right.
That was like the one day and time that we could coordinate. So
okay. Yeah. Brown Dwarf is laughing. Yeah, makeup channel. Yeah, that is like, wait, where's my makeup tips? Well, this has been so great, Jill. I mean, good luck with everything that you do. Please stay in touch. Thank you for everybody that's joined us today. This has just been amazing. Jill and I have been trying to get back and forth, going back and forth, trying to, and I was telling Jill, and she probably doesn't remember. I met her. I was so fortunate, so like fangirling to meet her at the Forks Bigfoot Days. Not this year. I didn't get a chance to go this year, but 2 years ago. And I didn't realize that you were going to be there. And I just seen Flash of Beauty, and then the next one, you were going to premiere it. And I said to my husband, I got to go talk to her. He's like, well, just go. I'm like, I don't know if I can, I don't know what to say. He's like, no, just go and talk to her. So I came up and I'm like, blah, 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 I love your work. So thank you you were so kind. You were so sweet. No, but it's just, it was completely fangirling seeing you. This has been such an honor, really.
Well, thank you. This has been a treat, because usually it's Brett who as the director, and what people don't he and Tobe will go out there and be the face for the film. And what people don't understand, behind the scenes, it's the producer here who's there's a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of stuff that isn't fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that is not glamorous, or there's no beauty in. So
yeah. Aw. Well, thank you though. And everybody, thank you for joining us. And so from coast to coast and around the world, and I need to get into my stick around and just watch my cute little the intro outro that Kenny Thibodeau had made up for me. And thank you again, Jill. Thank you so much. And and we'll stay in touch from coast to coast. Yeah, you're welcome. Coast to coast and around the world. Have a great night.
In the fog of the unknown city, footsteps vanish so swiftly, and Empty streets now whisper tales of long-lost faces gone so pale. Flickering lights on corners weep, silent voices haunt the deep. Every door seems like a plea, murmuring secrets to the key. Where have you gone? Where did you stray? Into the night or the light of day? Missing shot